even imagine standing in your childhood home, suitcase in hand, while your own mother looks you dead in the eye and says, "You don't deserve to live here anymore"? That's exactly what happened to me the day my world shattered. My name's Emily, or at least, that's what we'll call me here. And this is the story of how my family betrayed me in the worst way possible, and how I got the most epic revenge that left them regretting every single word. It all started a few years ago when my brother, Jake, got married to Sarah. Sarah was the definition of entitled, always complaining about how our family home wasn't modern enough for her taste. My parents, especially Mom, adored her. Dad was quieter, but he went along with whatever Mom said. Me? I'd been living at home after college, saving up for my own place while working a steady job. My room was the biggest one upstairs, the one I'd had since I was a kid, with the bay window overlooking the garden. One evening, I came home from work to find Sarah measuring my room with a tape measure. "What are you doing?" I asked, laughing it off at first. She smirked and said, "Just planning some upgrades. This space is perfect for a nursery, eventually." I rolled my eyes. They weren't even trying for kids yet. But then Mom walked in, arms crossed, and dropped the bomb. "Emily, we've decided it's time for you to move out. Jake and Sarah need more space now that they're married, and your room is the best one for them." My heart stopped. "Wait, what?" "Mom, I've been saving, but I'm not ready yet. Can't they take Jake's old room?" Jake's room was smaller, but fine for a couple. Mom shook her head. "No, Sarah's pregnant. Surprise. And she needs the light from that window for the baby. You've had plenty of time here. You don't deserve to hold everyone back." Pregnant? They hadn't even told me. My blood was boiling as Jake appeared in the doorway, avoiding my gaze. Sarah just smiled sweetly, rubbing her barely there belly. I pleaded with Mom, tears streaming down my face, but she was ice cold. "Pack your things tonight. You can stay with a friend or get a motel. This is Jake's house now too, family first." That night, as I shoved clothes into bags, listening to them laugh downstairs about paint colors for their new room, something inside me snapped. Not just pain, rage, pure burning anger. I wasn't going to let this go, but I kept quiet, nodded, and left the next morning with a forced smile. Little did they know, I was already planning. The first few weeks after being kicked out were a nightmare. I crashed on a coworker's couch, then bounced to a cheap motel that smelled like old cigarettes and regret. Every night I'd lie awake staring at the cracked ceiling, replaying Mom's words, "You don't deserve to live here." It hurt so bad I could feel it in my chest, like a physical weight crushing me. But that pain, it fueled something darker. I wasn't going to cry forever. No, I was going to make them pay. I cut contact almost completely. I'd reply to the occasional text from Mom with short, polite answers. "I'm fine, thanks." But nothing more. Jake tried calling once, leaving a voicemail about how Sarah needs the space for the baby stuff. Like that justified everything. I didn't call back. Sarah posted pics on social media of my old room, repainted in pastel colors, captioned, "Our dream nursery starting to come together." So grateful for family. Grateful? My blood boiled every time I saw it, but I didn't react. I just screenshotted everything. Evidence, you know? Instead, I focused on rebuilding. I worked overtime, picked up freelance gigs on the side, graphic design since that was my field. I rented a tiny studio apartment in the city. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No one could take it away. And quietly, I started digging. See, our family home wasn't just Mom and Dad's pride and joy. It had been inherited from Grandma, who passed a few years before this mess. Grandma loved me. I was her favorite. Before she died, she pulled me aside and said, "Emily, this house is for you one day. I've made sure of it." At the time, I thought it was just sweet grandma talk. But after getting kicked out, I remembered. I contacted the family lawyer. Turns out, Grandma had a will, and in it, she left the house to me specifically, with a trust that kicked in when I turned 30. I was 28 at the time. Mom knew. She'd been the executor. But she buried it, hoping I'd never find out. Can you believe that? My own mother hid my inheritance just to play favorites with Jake and Sarah. The lawyer confirmed it all, but he warned me. If I pushed too soon, Mom might try to fight it. So I waited. I turned the pain into patience. I saved every penny, built my credit, and started a small investment portfolio. On the outside, I was the independent daughter they wanted. On the inside, I was plotting the perfect storm. As my birthday crept closer, something unexpected happened. Dad called me out of the blue, sounding tired, Emily, your mom's been stressed. Money's tight with the renovations and the kids. Tight? They'd been living large in my future house. He hinted they might need help, maybe a loan from me. I almost laughed, but I played dumb. Oh, I'm saving for my own place still. Sorry, that call planted the seed. They were overextended. Perfect. The day before everything exploded, I met with the lawyer again. Papers were ready. The trust was ironclad. And just like that, the clock hit 0. The morning of my 30th birthday, I woke up in my little studio with a grin I couldn't wipe off my face. No big party, no family calls, just me, a cup of coffee, and the knowledge that today, everything changed. I got dressed in my sharpest blazer, grabbed the folder the lawyer had prepared, and drove straight to the house. My house. I didn't call ahead. Why spoil the surprise? I pulled into the driveway, noting the new cars, Jake's shiny truck, Sarah's SUV with the baby seats. The deck they'd built gleamed in the sunlight, all those upgrades screaming overconfidence. I knocked on the door, heart pounding not from fear, but from pure anticipation. Mom answered, looking confused. Emily? What are you doing here? We didn't know you were coming. Behind her, I could hear the kids toddling around, Sarah's voice yelling for Jake to grab diapers. I smiled sweetly. Happy birthday to me, Mom. I have some papers to discuss. Family business. She let me in reluctantly, calling everyone to the living room. Jake shuffled in, looking bulkier than I remembered, Sarah trailing with a toddler on her hip and that same smug expression. Dad sat quietly on the couch, sensing the tension. I didn't sit. I stood tall, pulled out the documents, and laid it all out. Grandma's will, I said calmly, handing copies around. The house was held in trust for me until I turned 30. As of today, it's legally mine. Ownership transfers immediately. The room went dead silent. Mom's face drained of color as she scanned the pages. This can't be right. Grandma wouldn't. But she knew. I saw it in her eyes, the guilt flashing before the denial kicked in. You hid this from me, I continued, voice steady. You kicked me out to give my room, my house, to them. I nodded at Jake and Sarah. Sarah gasped, clutching her kid tighter. You're joking. This is our home. We have children. Jake finally spoke, voice rising. Emily, come on, be reasonable. We've put so much into this place. Renovations, the deck, everything. You can't just throw us out. I laughed, actually laughed. Throw you out? Funny, that's exactly what you did to me. Remember? You don't deserve to live here. Your words, Mom. Dad tried to mediate, voice soft. Honey, maybe we can work something out. Buy it from you, or... I cut him off gently but firmly. No, the will is clear, and all those improvements, made without the owner's permission. That could be considered damage, actually. The lawyer had prepped me on that. It wasn't, not really, but the threat landed hard. Sarah started crying, real tears this time. Where are we supposed to go? We have 3 kids now. The twins are due any day. 3? The twins had come early, I guessed from the way she held her belly. Mom jumped in, pleading, Emily, please. We're family. Don't do this. But I wasn't done. I'd prepared for this moment for 2 years. Family? You stopped being my family the day you chose her over me. I pointed at Sarah. The day you packed my bags and changed the locks while I was at work. Yeah, they'd done that, a detail I'd saved. But I'm not heartless. You have 30 days to vacate. Standard eviction notice, it's all here. I slid the official papers across the table. The screaming started then. Jake called me ungrateful, a bitch, everything under the sun. Mom wailed about how I'd destroy the family. Sarah threatened to call the cops, until I reminded her this was my property now. Dad just sat there, head in hands. I absorbed it all, feeling that rage finally release into something colder. Justice. As I walked out, Mom grabbed my arm. Emily, wait, I'm sorry. We didn't mean... I pulled away. Save it. You made your choice. I got in my car and drove off, watching in the rear view as they stood on the porch, shell-shocked. Those 30 days were pure chaos for them, and sweet music to me. I didn't go no contact completely. I let them call, text, beg. Every voicemail from Mom was more desperate than the last. Emily, think of the children. We have nowhere to go. Jake left angry ones at first. Threats about suing me, calling me selfish. But by week 2, even he was pleading. Sarah sent long messages about how the twins were coming soon, how stressful moving would be for her pregnancy. I read them all, felt that old pain flicker, but then remembered packing my own bags while they laughed downstairs. No mercy. They scrambled for rentals, but with 3 kids, soon 5, bad credit from all those renovations on maxed-out cards, and no big down payment saved, nothing panned out. Houses in our area were expensive, and landlords wanted proof of income that could cover it. Jake's promotion? Turns out it came with a lot of debt they'd hidden. Dad's retirement wasn't stretching far. They even asked distant relatives for help. Got turned down flat. I, meanwhile, hired a property manager to handle the transition. I wasn't moving back in right away. I sold my studio, made a nice profit, and booked a short vacation to celebrate. But I did swing by the house a few times, always with the manager or a locksmith to inspect my property. The look on Sarah's face when she opened the door to find me there, keys in hand, priceless. She tried to block the doorway once, but legally she couldn't. One visit, I walked through my old room. Now a chaotic nursery with cribs, toys everywhere, walls scuffed from toddler tantrums. Mom followed me like a ghost, whispering apologies. I was wrong, Emily. I thought I was doing what was best for the family. I stopped, looked her straight in the eye. You chose one child over the other. You taught me exactly what family means to you. She had no comeback. The real kicker came mid-month. Jake lost his job. Company downsizing, bad timing, or karma. He didn't tell me directly, but I heard through a mutual friend. Suddenly unemployment checks and 5 mouths to feed. They started selling stuff online. The new furniture, Sarah's designer bags, even the riding mower Dad loved. The house looked sadder every time I checked. Boxes piling up, walls stripped of pictures. Sarah went into early labor at 28 days, stress-induced, they said. Twins were born healthy, thank God, but NICU bills piled on top of everything. Mom called me from the hospital, voice breaking. Please, Emily, give us more time. Just a few months to get on our feet. For a second, my heart softened. Those babies didn't do anything wrong. But then I remembered being 25, alone in a motel, no one extending me grace. The notice stands, I said quietly. You have until tomorrow. Eviction day arrived. I didn't show up in person. Didn't need to see the tears. The sheriff did the official part, but my manager sent photos. Jake loading a U-Haul with whatever fit. Sarah cradling newborns in car seats. Mom sitting on the curb crying into Dad's shoulder. They ended up in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment across town. The only thing they could afford with government assistance and Jake's part-time gigs. I took possession the next week. The house needed cleaning, some repairs from their improvements, but it was mine. Really mine. I repainted my old room first. Back to the soft blue I loved as a kid. No nursery vibes, just peace. A few months after they moved out, I got an anonymous tip. Turned out to be from a former neighbor who couldn't stand Sarah's drama. Jake and Sarah's marriage was cracking under the pressure. The tiny apartment was a war zone. 5 kids in 2 bedrooms, bills stacking up, Jake working 2 dead-end jobs while Sarah complained nonstop. Mom and Dad were crammed in with them. Dad's health declining from the stress, high blood pressure, doctor visits they couldn't afford. Then the real domino fell. Sarah filed for divorce. She claimed Jake wasn't providing like he promised, took the kids, and moved in with her parents out of state. Jake was left heartbroken, stuck in the apartment with Mom and Dad, barely scraping by on child support payments he could hardly make. Mom's texts started again, but different now, not begging for the house, but for money. Emily, your brother's falling apart. If you could just help a little. I didn't reply at first, but one day Dad reached out separately. No excuses, just a simple email. I'm sorry for everything. I should have stood up for you. Proud of the woman you've become. That one hit different. I met him for coffee, neutral ground. He looked older, worn down but honest. We talked for hours. He admitted Mom's favoritism had always been there, how she'd manipulated things with the will. She thought if you didn't know, it would just stay ours. No defense, just regret. I forgave Dad slowly. We started rebuilding. Lunches here and there, no pressure. Jake? He showed up at my door one rainy evening, soaked and humbled. I was wrong, so wrong. Sarah took everything and I deserve it. I was a coward. Tears in his eyes. The big brother I'd once idolized reduced to this. I let him in, heard him out. He didn't ask for anything, just apologized. Mom was last, hardest. She came with Dad once, eyes downcast. I was a terrible mother to you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need to say it. I'm sorry. The words I'd waited years for. Did I let them back into my life? Not all at once. Boundaries stayed firm. I sold the house eventually, too many ghosts, made a huge profit after fixing it up, bought a nicer place closer to work. I helped Dad with medical bills anonymously at first, then openly when things thawed. Jake got back on his feet with a better job, started paying proper support, even sent me a thank you card for not destroying us completely when you could have. Sarah? Last I heard, she was posting about being a strong, single mom, but whispers said her parents were tired of the entitlement too. Karma's patient like that. Looking back, that betrayal broke me, but it also built me stronger. I learned family isn't just blood. It's who shows up when it matters. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't destruction, it's thriving despite them, then choosing grace when they're at rock bottom. They lost everything thinking they'd won, while I gained independence, success, and eventually, peace.